Hello, and welcome to this walking tour of the town of Warwick. Warwick is a historic market town in Warwickshire in the West Midlands in England. It sits on the River Avon, 11 miles south of Coventry and 2.5 miles west of Leamington Spa. It's 90 miles northwest of London, but it's easily accessible via the M40, which also connects it to Birmingham and Oxford. It's surrounded by picturesque Warwickshire countryside with rolling hills and historic villages. It's also very easy to travel there by train, which is what I did. I changed at Marylebone Station in London, which is one of the smallest major railway stations in London. It only has 6 platforms. Here we are walking up Smith Street, which is a historic thoroughfare. It's the oldest shopping street in Warwick. It's lined with timber-framed buildings dating back to the early 1600s. Here you can find lots of independent shops and some delicious restaurants. I ate at 2 restaurants on this street. The Roebuck Inn, which is a restaurant and pub that dates back to 1470 and serves very tasty English food. And also the Warwick Spice, which is a curry house, which was also very delicious. As we walk up Smith Street, you can see in front of us a very old-looking building, which is the East Gate and St. Peter's Chapel. The East Gate dates from the 14th century and used to be one of the main entrances through the medieval town walls. St. Peter's Chapel is built on top of that, and that dates from the 15th century. From 1576, it played an educational role, and up to 1590 it was part of King's Grammar School in Warwick. In the 19th and 20th century, it was part of King's High School for Girls. Nowadays, it's been converted into holiday accommodation, so you can rent it out and stay there. As you go through the gate, you will arrive at one of the main junctions in Warwick, which is the junction between the Butts, Jewellery Street, Smith Street, and Castle Hill. On the other side of Eastgate is a beautiful and unique Victorian post box, which is one of only a pair in Warwick. We now continue walking up Jewellery Street, which is one of the principal medieval routes through the town. In 1694, on September the 5th, there was a great fire in Warwick which destroyed large parts of the town. It was progressing along this street until it was halted by the Lord Leicester Hotel, which is a big stone building. Other notable buildings on this street include Pageant House, where the costumes for the Warwick pageant of 1906 were stored, and the Courthouse, which is now a visitor information centre. Warwick itself was established as a Saxon fortified town in the year 914 by a lady called Ethelflaed, who was daughter of King Alfred the Great, and it was built to defend against Viking attacks. It became a key settlement in medieval England, and after the Norman conquest in 1066, William the Conqueror ordered the construction of Warwick Castle in 1068, and the town increased in importance. Over the centuries, the castle became a strong stone fortress and one of England's most impressive strongholds. It's played a role in major events including the Wars of the Roses and the English Civil War. As I mentioned before, a major fire in 1694 destroyed much of the town, and this led to a major rebuilding of it giving the town its distinctive Georgian character. In the 19th century, Warwick saw industrialisation but managed to retain its historic charm, and today it is a tourist hub with a well-preserved castle, historic streets and landmarks like St Mary's Church, which is where we're now headed. So to get to St Mary's Church, we head up Church Street, where many buildings were destroyed in the Great Fire. As you can see, this street is dominated by the magnificent St Mary's Church at one end. Also on this street is the Warwick War Memorial, which was erected in 1921. This commemorates the 358 men and the one woman who were killed from Warwick in World War I and the 112 men who were killed from this area in World War II. It is 11 metres tall and serves as a focal point for remembrance events in the town. Standing tall over Warwick, St Mary's Church has been watching over the town for nearly 900 years. It was founded in 1123 by Roger de Beaumont, the second Earl of Warwick, and it has witnessed centuries of history. One of its most striking features is this 125-foot or 40-metre tall tower. It wasn't part of the original medieval church. The first tower collapsed in the Great Fire of Warwick in 1694. What you see today was rebuilt in the late 17th century and blends Gothic and Baroque architecture. If you pay £5, you can climb it. After 134 steps up a narrow spiral staircase, you can have some of the best panoramic views of Warwick and beyond. Unfortunately, it is not open on Mondays and Tuesdays, which is when I was there. Inside the church is a true medieval masterpiece, the Beauchamp Chapel. Built in the 15th century, it houses the magnificent tomb of Richard Beauchamp, a powerful Earl of Warwick and a key figure in medieval England. His gilded bronze effigy rests beneath a canopy of intricate stonework, and it's one of the finest surviving chapels of its kind. Today, St Mary's is more than just a historic landmark. It's a place of worship, a community hub, and a window into Warwick's past. Whether you're here to admire the architecture, trace the footsteps of history, or climb to the top for that unbeatable view, this church remains at the heart of the town. We now head down Castle Hill. If you follow this main road all the way to its end, you will see the towering stone walls of Warwick Castle. This fortress has dominated the landscape here for nearly 1,000 years. It was originally built in 1068 by William the Conqueror to secure his hold over England. We turn off Castle Hill to Castle Lane, which runs alongside the fortress, following the curve of its ancient defences. You can imagine knights and nobles riding through here centuries ago, heading for tournaments or royal visits. Today, it's a peaceful scenic walk. Castle Street has charming old buildings and is a link between Warwick's fortress and its town. Some of these structures date back to the 17th and 18th centuries, built long after Warwick had shifted from a place of war to a thriving market town. You can see timber-framed houses, Georgian facades, and other little architectural details. If you go down Castle Street, you can find the oaken tea rooms, and a visit here is like stepping back in time. This charming timber-framed building dates back to the 16th century and was once home to Thomas Oaken, a wealthy Warwick merchant and philanthropist. Today, it's one of the cosiest spots in the town and serves up traditional afternoon teas in a setting that feels straight out of history. You can find homemade scones, clotted cream, and fresh brewed tea in a beautifully preserved Tudor building. The cakes here are also magnificent. Just a short walk from here, tucked behind the buildings of Castle Street, you'll find Pageant Gardens. These peaceful gardens were once part of Warwick Castle's estate, but their name comes from something much grander, the Warwick Pageant of 1906. This was no ordinary festival. It was a massive historical reenactment, with over 2,000 performers bringing Warwick's past to life through elaborate open-air performances. Crowds came from all over to watch knights, royals, and townsfolk relive centuries of history, all set against the dramatic backdrop of the castle. Today, it is a far quieter place, offering a little escape from the town's busyness. It's the perfect spot for a peaceful walk and has some lovely crocuses. Northgate Street is one of Warwick's most elegant avenues, lined with grand Georgian buildings. At its heart stands the Old Shire Hall, which is a testament to Warwick's long-standing role in county governance. Built in the 1750s, this building served as Warwickshire's principal courthouse for over 2 centuries. Today, visitors can delve into its past through the Old Shire Hall courts and dungeon tour. This experience unveils over 300 years of trials, judgments, and imprisonments, guiding you through the civil and criminal courts, holding cells, and even a 17th century dungeon. Tours are scheduled on some Saturdays and they typically run from 10:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. Due to the historic architecture of the building, the tour involves steep, uneven and narrow stairs, so it's unsuitable for individuals with mobility challenges or claustrophobia. It's advised that you wear sensible footwear, and is not suitable for children under 12. You will need to book in advance, and tickets at the moment are priced at £12 and can be bought through the Warwickshire Heritage Box Office. Right at the heart of the town of Warwick, Market Place has been a hub of activity for centuries. This square has been the town's commercial and social centre since medieval times, where traders, townsfolk and travellers gathered to buy, sell and exchange news. Markets have been held here since at least the 12th century, when Warwick was a key trading town. Back then, stores would have been piled high with wool, grain and livestock. Today, the tradition continues, with Warwick Market held every Saturday, offering everything from fresh produce to handmade crafts and artisan goods. Surrounding the square, you'll find a mix of historic architecture, from elegant Georgian facades to timber-framed Tudor buildings. One standout building is the Rose and Crown, a coaching inn that dates back over 300 years. Today, Market Place is packed with independent shops, cafes and restaurants, which makes it a great spot to explore. At one end of the square, you'll find the Courthouse, which is another striking 18th century building that once housed Warwick's magistrates. These days, it's home to the Warwick Visitor Centre, which is a great place to pick up maps, learn more about the town, or even grab tickets for local attractions. As you leave Marketplace, you can head down Swan Street, which is one of the town's oldest and most picturesque lanes. It's named after the swans that grace the nearby River Avon. As you turn from Swan Street to High Street, you can immediately see Westgate at the end of the street. Westgate is one of two surviving medieval gateways to the walled city of Warwick, the other being Eastgate, which we saw earlier. Westgate was erected at least as early as the 14th century. The gateway consists of a central vaulted passage with a chapel dedicated to St James rising over the arch. The chapel is used by residents of Lord Leicester's Hospital. The chapel is lit solely by candlelight, which gives it a very special atmosphere. Inside the chapel, the altar frontal was made for King George VI's coronation at Westminster Abbey in 1937. It was initially used at the Chapel Royal in the Tower of London before being brought to Warwick. One of the first interesting buildings you'll encounter along this street is Warwick Unitarian Chapel, which dates back to 1694. Built for a dissenting congregation, it offered a peaceful alternative to the Church of England. Its modest exterior contrasts with some of the more ornate buildings around it, and inside, the chapel provides a quiet haven with beautiful stained glass and a sense of tranquility. As you continue walking down High Street, you'll soon arrive at Lord Leicester Hospital, one of Warwick's most remarkable historic buildings. This isn't a hospital in the modern sense, but rather an almshouse founded in 1571 by Robert Dudley, the 2nd Earl of Warwick. It was created to provide shelter for retired soldiers, known as the Brethren, and remains an active community today. The timber-framed buildings are beautifully preserved. Visitors can explore the peaceful Master's Garden and learn about the Brethren's way of life. If you're looking for a place to rest, the Brethren's Kitchen Cafe is open Tuesday through to Sunday and offers locally sourced homemade food and a perfect spot to unwind in a historic setting. Behind Westgate and located at the corner of High Street and West Street, the Westgate almshouses were built in 1618 to provide shelter for elderly men and women in need. This charming building showcases Elizabethan timber-framed architecture and stands as a testament to Warwick's long tradition of caring for its community. They are not typically open to the public, but they continue to serve their original purpose today, offering housing to those in need. With Warwick Castle being one of the most iconic landmarks in England, it's no surprise that many streets in Warwick have the word castle in their name. We head now up Castle Lane. The castle itself attracts visitors from all over the world. It opened its doors to the public in the 19th century and has welcomed millions of visitors since then. In fact, it sees around 400,000 to 500,000 visitors every year, with peak numbers during the summer months, especially in July and August. It attracts international visitors, particularly from the US, Germany and France, who come to experience the rich history of England's medieval past. Two famous people that have links to Warwick are Dame Judi Dench and David Bowie. Dame Judi Dench, one of Britain's most celebrated actresses, has strong ties to the area. Although she wasn't born in Warwick, she spent a portion of her childhood here. Her father, Reginald Dench, was a teacher in Warwick and she attended Warwick School before going on to pursue a career in acting. David Bowie was not born in the town, but his family lived in Warwick for a time when he was a child. He attended school in Warwick, where he spent his early years. His connection to Warwick is often celebrated by fans and locals, and there is even a plaque dedicated to him in the town. Castle Lane leads to the main entrance of Warwick Castle. There will be another video where we explore Warwick Castle specifically. Today we will follow a footpath that leads from Warwick Castle to one of the main gates of Warwick Castle and then to Mill Street, one of the most picturesque streets that I found in Warwick. The path itself offers tantalising glimpses of the castle behind gates. Mill Street is located just a short distance from the town centre. It is lined on both sides by incredibly cute, quaint buildings. The street gets its name from the mill that once stood nearby and was a key part of the town's industry in centuries past. Today, the mill is long gone, but the street retains its timeless atmosphere. It also offers one of the best views of Warwick Castle. It's a picturesque spot, especially popular for photos with the towering castle rising in the background. Tucked away at the end of Mill Street is the Mill Garden, which offers a peaceful retreat, capturing the charm of Warwick's rich history. It's nestled beside the River Avon and sits in a spot that once housed the watermill. Today, it's a beautifully landscaped green space. There are pictures online of it in summer and it looks absolutely stunning. When I went, unfortunately, it was closed. It's particularly renowned for its stunning views of Warwick Castle, and it's one of the most picturesque spots in town. It's a popular location for a quiet stroll or a picnic, and it has carefully tended flower beds and pathways that lead down to the riverbank. It's often overlooked by tourists, but it provides a perfect opportunity to escape the bustle of the town centre. Just across the road from Mill Street is St Nicholas Church, which is a stunning example of medieval architecture dating back to the 12th century. It's known for its striking Norman design, particularly its beautifully preserved tower. The church's ancient graveyard adds to its historical significance, with gravestones marking centuries of Warwick's past. Just a short walk from the church, St Nicholas Park is a delightful space full of family-friendly attractions and scenic beauty. Visitors can enjoy boating on the River Avon or take a leisurely stroll around the park's beautiful gardens. The park also features a play area for children, a miniature railway, and some crazy golf, as well as plenty of space for picnics or sport. After strolling along the river for a bit and basking in the sunshine, I headed to Warwick Castle viewpoint, which is on a bridge on Banbury Road. From here you can see the River Avon and a lovely view of the castle. Having spent most of the day wandering around Warwick and taken my fill of its historic buildings, it was time to head back to my accommodation. I walked via Gerrard Street, which is a charming overlooked street named after the Gerrard family, who were prominent figures in the area during the 17th century. Gerrard Street leads to Smith Street, which is where we were at the beginning of the video, so we have come full circle. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. I hope one day you'll have a chance to visit Warwick yourself. It's a fascinating town. If you have any questions or comments, let me know underneath and I will do my best to reply. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!